It's the your dog's got dementia now, hasn't he?
Dickhead. He wants to go in the boys' room, so I'll do it for him. Open the door, and then he backs off down the hallway.
Yeah, well, he's being annoying, isn't he?
He's a dickhead.
Is your dog Muslim?
I think he is. Anyway, here we are. Oh, hold on. We're not live on... Hold on one sec. We're live on YouTube. Live on the tubes. Unidentified arse pussy is what...
Don't know about that.
Yeah. Corning horse and Harrow. Hold on a sec. I just got to get the... I forgot to get the streamer configuration. Because Rumble is a dickhead.
Oh, here's a piece of news. So are we ready to stream it?
You crack on while I'm just doing this.
Right, so here's a fun little thing. So in the light of Dunblane, where they said, oh, for the public good, we're going to seal the records of what happened in the court for 99 years. Because it would be upsetting if we were to release it. Hutton Inquiry closed. David Kelly medical report. Oh, right. Hutton Inquiry closed David Kelly medical report.
I thought that was closed ages ago. The Hutton report was delivered.
So, doctors trying to see the files consider legal challenge. Doubt grows over suicide verdict on the rack. So, you won't know because the records have been sealed for the next 70 years.
Oh, well, there's nothing to see there then, is there?
Well, it would be upsetting if, like, the truth came out of that. So, like Dunblane, just don't worry about it. Your great-grandchildren, if you're going to have any, if their name's not Mohammed, they'll get to know about the events of Dunblane.
Oh, I'm echoing for some... I think I know what that is.
Yeah.
Why am I echoing? Hello?
I don't know, mate. Your sound setup's far too complicated for me.
Yeah, I think I don't know what I've done. I mean, it sounds like it's recording from inside a cathedral. Oh! Do you remember the song, Hobbit?
Yeah, it's a good one. You must know it.
Real catchy.
Yeah. Cool. Sing along if you know the words.
I think that might stop it. I think that might stop the echo.
Oh, I got some more stuff about pyramids as well. So that might be...
pyramids. Yeah.
So I've heard that this is an intro. I don't know if that's right. This guy goes on to say pyramis is the Greek word for pyramid.
Yeah.
And it means a bad fire. In fact, let me have a look right now, because I need to know the etymology. Pyramid etymology. The word pyramid is derived from the Latin word pyramis. Right, so that's the first bit you got wrong. It's not Greek, it's Latin. It's borrowed from the Greek word pyramis. Right, okay. Oh, pyramis. Because the reason I say that is because the letter it's using there is pi, a U, what looks like a P, an A, the mu symbol, I, and then S. The Greek word is believed to be related to the Greek word pyr, which, like pyre, we have, which means fire. The word pyramis refers specifically to the Egyptian pyramids. Connection between these words thought to be pyramid.
Egyptians don't call them pyramids, do they?
Well, the Egyptians are a bunch of Johnny-come-lately usurpers.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is as well, even during the time of... Actually, no, Herodotus, when he was there, that was before the Ptolemaic invasion. Alexander the Great and his generals, Ptolemy, was the ruler of Egypt. But Herodotus was before then. Only by a few centuries, mind you. So, anyway, pyramid. Right, I just... Come on. All right, online etymology dictionary. Greek pyramis also means a kind of cake of roasted wheat grains preserved in honey, and the sense derived from pyros, wheat, on the model of sesamis, According to some old sources, the Egyptian pyramids are so called from their resemblance to the form of the cake, but Beekes points out that the form of the cake is actually unknown. Figurative ending from the broad base and small tip. Look, this doesn't sound right to me. This pyramid thing. Anyway, etymologie et histoire des pyramides, and that's from a French version as well. What does the French one say? Actually, structure massive en pierre monumentale des plaines polygonales, dont les côtes s'inclinent en plains vers une sommet commune. Anyway, not about like the pyramid structure. I want to know more about like the word. On nativisé en moyenne anglaise comme pyramide, du français pyramide, ancienne française pyramide, and that's ancient French for obelisk or stele. Du latin pyramides, pura di pyramis, l'une des pyramides d'Égypte, ou du grec pyramis, plural pyramides, une pyramide, qui c'est apparemment une altération de l'Égyptienne pilama. Alright, so here it's actually saying there's an Egyptian word, pima. So it's not to do with fire. Anyway, so what's this story I'm going on about with this pyramid?
What the fuck are you on about? I'll be the audience in this one. What the fuck are you on about?
So I wanted to know what the etymology of pyramid is, because there's this assertion here in this tweet by a guy called SparkGap. And I'll post the link there so you can read along. SparkGap says, the pharaohs called themselves sons of the sun and lords of the abodes of fire, who lived on light food. The name of ancient Giza was Heliopolis, city of the sun. Yeah, but look, Heliopolis is the Ptolemy name for it. That's not the ancient name for it. Actually, I don't know what they called it before. But anyway, Heliopolis, that is Greek. I know my Greek. I'm good at Greek. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm better at Latin. But my aunt speaks Greek, so she rubs off on me. Scorched vent. Oh, right, here we go. The word pyramid is derived from the Greek word pyramis, which, according to SparkGap, literally meaning bad fire. So, well, look, pyra means fire, but miss, no idea what that is. That's a mystery. Because these temples of the sun were ancient nuclear reactors producing deadly emanations of light and steam. Now, this is the bit where it sounds more plausible. Scorched vent shaft, raised roof beams, vitrified and expanded granite walls, and the heat-altered and intensely radioactive coffer in the king's chamber.
There's a coffer in the king's chamber.
By the way, there's no tombs interred in the pyramids. They're not burial tombs.
Are there any coffers in there, Hobbit?
Yeah, well, the coffer. I think he's calling it a coffer, but some might call it a coffin. Were intriguing observations noted by both early explorers like Weiss and Petrie, as well as later researchers like Dunn and
I've got some
Temple.
climate emergency news for you. Heatwave horror as Britain forecast mega 22C and will be hotter than Ibiza.
Right, so you got your list of demoralising propaganda up there.
Yeah.
I think that's yet more demoralising propaganda. But the government's just like,
it's not really the fact they're trying to cause panic. It's the credit they give everybody's intelligence.
The government is doing a shit test on everybody now, going, right, you've fallen for COVID and the swabs in your arsehole and the wearing masks when standing up but take them off when you sat down, and also curfews, but it's all right to ride the bus, cheat by jail with all the other people going from curfew. So now they're going like...
a T-shirt over your mouth.
Or let's say to them, oh, I know, there's a heat wave coming, and then people go, oh yeah, I know what a heat wave means. That means you've got to take precaution. Yeah, temperatures get as high as 22 degrees. Oh, it's 22 times bad, this heat wave. Oh, that sounds really bad. Yeah. So, it's just another fucking shit test. Anyway, back to this pyramid. The documented empirical evidence strongly suggests that something highly unusual involving intense heat and energy occurred inside the Great Pyramid, which was called different names by the Egyptians throughout their long history. The old Egyptian text proclaimed in plain language, "Send forth light, O mountain, pyramid, let radiance arise." So they're referring to it as a mountain. We can no longer afford to ignore the compelling evidence by favouring outdated religious dogma, orthodox Egyptology, or New Age ancient alien nonsense. Fortunately, ongoing scientific research is quietly underway at Abydos in Egypt to finally test the hypothesis that the Osirian, the Temple of Osiris, may represent the earliest known human-constructed nuclear processing plant.
What was Osiris' job?
Osiris is one of the Egyptian gods.
Yeah, what was his job? Like Apollo was the quick guy.
But Osiris's job was not losing his penis, which he failed at.
Oh, Osiris's job was Gerard Butler in Gods of Egypt, wasn't it?
I think that was Ra. He was pulling the chariot across the sky, the sun in the chariot. Anyway, Egyptian texts. By the way, Gods of Egypt. That's a good film. If you haven't seen,
don't believe your lying eyes. That is a good film. I don't know what it is, but I do enjoy that film.
Look, I enjoy that film too, and you know why? Because it's a good film.
And
Simple as.
It's fun. It's bonkers.
It's a fun, good film.
Yeah.
There's really good set design. The actors are good. The writing is good. It's just a good all-round film.
Did you know you are actually allowed to have fun while watching films? It doesn't have to be like a serious treatise about the current politics.
Look, I've been watching Richie Milkus playing 8 hours of Dustborn, and if there's anything I know about entertainment, it's you're not allowed to have fun when doing it, and you've got to be lectured at all the time whilst people yap on uselessly about a bunch of shit that doesn't matter. My God, Dustborn is a boring game. I find him entertaining, by the way, because like I like watching his Freak Sideshow thing on Fridays, but
Hobbit, I can't put this cartoon up, but quick, looking at this.
I'll read this. I'll watch the cartoon.
Read that, and then I'll look at it.
Look, I'm almost through this Egyptian stuff, right?
Yeah.
So Egyptian text basically, we said that. But Egyptian text explicitly state that the purified liquid, milk, efflux, so the refined oil, came from Abydos before being transported to the pyramid. I bring the things of Abydos, the efflux of Osiris, is lifted up to the island of fire, the pyramid. Have you ever wondered why so many newly discovered archaeological sites, including unopened tomb complexes from early dynasties, remain unstudied and off limits to both science and the public? Egypt government is very keen to close all that stuff off, and you're not allowed to bring a Geiger counter with you when you're studying this stuff. Now, here's an Arab proverb. Men fear time, but time fears the pyramids. There we go. And there's some more stuff. Academy of Glasgow of Culture and Sciences. And, what's the head of the Department of Archaeoacoustics? Hadir Mohammed Ahmed Abd El Halim. That's one of those archetypal Scottish names. I think he's from the McKinnon clan. God, look, mate, it's too bad nobody's invented a scanner so that you could put like your sheets in the scanner and then make it easier to read. Oh, the Pharaoh's Curse, new evidence of unusual gems associated with ancient Egyptian tombs. Yeah, I'm gonna say, that's it. Do you remember when I was talking about like radiation poisoning and stuff?
Yeah.
Now let's have a look at this cartoon. I'm gonna see if I can describe it for listeners. Oh shit! I've just the thing I was posting. I didn't post to you. I posted to my friend. They can be like, "All right, that's interesting. Why are you posting me that stuff now?" Right. So let's have a look at this. Right. Can I describe this to the audience at home? The ones on the wireless that don't look at the visual aspect of this audio-visual presentation. So, you see. It's a picture of a woman in sleep paralysis, and there's a demon on her sitting on the chest, and I think it can be described as single mothers and the mistakes of their single motherhood, asking for purple drink at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And also saying, "Where are my Air Jordans?" And you ain't going to be hearing the last of this.
Yeah.
My brother's about to lose his cool. Yeah. So, let me just put that in there. Do you want to do your demoralisation propaganda?
Let's do it. This list is truly fucking Fortean. And
right, and I'm having my pudding as well now. I've got a chocolate bar.
You're not going to have your pudding when I read this list out, mate.
I'm going to enjoy my Knoppers chocolate bar.
I'm gonna pretend I'm an American trying to be English now. I'm I can't even do that shitty accent that Yanks do. Here's a list of the. See, I always goes Cornish because they go a little bit Cornish, don't they? With it, it's like Cornish Cockney. It's weird.
Hang on, let me do my impression of an American doing an impression of an Englishman. Oi, oi, oi! You've got a license for that opinion, mate. Oi, 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 oi! You bloody wanker! There we go.
Anyway, here is a list of the top 10 or twat, calling people a twat, which is actually twat.
Yeah, how do you end up mispronouncing A as O?
Anyway,
I get really annoyed when Americans saying, "Oh, English people don't talk English and I can't understand what they're saying."
Yeah.
That's because you're not speaking English, you're speaking American.
Yeah. So, here's the list of the top sexiest women in the UK. Amanda Holden. I don't know, but she's had sex with Les Dennis, so does that lose points for her? Hobbit?
What's that?
It's having sex with Les Dennis. They're like a bit of a bar to be in the top sexiest woman in the UK.
I mean, you know, very pretty women had sex with Harvey Weinstein, so who am I to judge?
Next, Lily Allen. No. Just no. Stacey Solomon.
That first name, that's got to be a joke, right? Amanda Holden Kiss?
Amanda Holden. She's the one that had sex with Les Dennis.
No, that's like... Do you remember when the early Simpsons, like, Bart used to prank call Mo?
Amanda Hug and Kiss.
Hey, can you ask... I'm looking for a hug and kiss. Amanda Hug and Kiss.
Yeah. When I get you, you little puke.
Oh, do you remember when the Simpsons used to do jokes like that? And I'd be like, oh my God, Bart Simpson made a homophobic slur.
Yeah, and I'm embracing my homosexuality. I'm embracing my homosexuality. There's nothing wrong with hugging and kissing men. Is that would that be the joke now?
My favourite Moe's Tavern prank call is, you ever seen that episode of The Twilight Zone where the boy, if he doesn't like something, he wills it away?
Oh yeah.
So the entire world revolves around him.
Yeah.
He rings up Moe's Tavern and he goes, "Hey Mo, insult yourself for me. I'm a big butt and I've got a big butt and my face is a butt and I'm a stinky butt." And everyone in the background is just laughing at him.
So number 3, Stacey Solomon. I can imagine that you probably don't know who she is, do you?
Literally who?
Yeah, okay then. Number 4, Angela Rayner.
Oh, Angela from Accounts.
Yeah, Angela, the whiskey taster.
Oh, Angela, don't leave the drinks cabinet unsupervised, Rayner.
Yeah. Surprisingly white, this list.
Yeah, there's this problem. I mean, look, I've looked at adverts and I know that 75% of the UK population are black.
Cat Deely, number 5. Cat Deely's a brummie. Did she lose points for being a brummie?
Oh, just make her mute then.
Don wants to know why isn't Susan Boyle on that list?
Might as well be.
Ian's on a new show. The Spooky Network. Oh, I've obviously stolen from my catchphrase.
Yeah. What, the spooks? typical spooks stealing our ideas and bicycles.
Number 6, Maya Jama. I don't know whether that's a sexual position or a name. I'm not quite sure.
I'm just going to assume it's a sauce you have on jerk chicken, like Maya Jama.
Yeah, it's Maya Jama man. Maya Jama man.
Is Maya Jama milder than Piri Piri?
Literally never heard of Maya Jama. Katie Piper, somebody who's literally acid attacked. Is the 7th. Someone who was acid attacked is the 7th sexiest woman in the UK and sexier than Holly Willoughby.
So look at this victim of having acid poured over their face. Gore, isn't she hot?
Yeah.
Said nobody ever.
Yeah. Number 9.
Yeah, but the other thing is,
go on then.
The other thing is like, Angela Rayner. Don't trust her around any. Angela, watch that one. She'll nick all the drinks, Rayner.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, whoever's writing this, be like, Angela Rayner, notice me.
Well,
Can I have more bennies, please?
Apparently people voted in this poll. So more than one person thought Angela Rayner was sexy. I think I did get blocked for being a bit too amorous with her on Twitter.
I'm guessing that the people that voted for this also voted in the general elections.
Number 8, Holly Willoughby. Fair one. I'd throw one in her. How about you? As long as her mate Phil ain't around, I'd be fine.
I just remember her from that fantastically unfunny show Celebrity Juice, where her name is Holly Willoughby.
Yeah. Zara McDermott, no idea. She looks like she should be in the side panel of the Daily Mail. You know the side panel where there's some bird in her underwear?
Oh, because we're not allowed page 3 anymore.
Yeah, she's like one of those standard people. Number 10, Carol Vorderman.
Oh, yeah, that geriatric bint who was selling ocean finance payday loans where they break your kneecaps if you don't pay.
And you know what they say. And you know what they say, don't you, Hobbit? Men age like Sean Connery and women age like Sean Connery.
Women age like milk, but then again, if you're plastering your face with makeup every day,
well, it's not that. It's the pneumatics, isn't it? They really age a person, don't they? Make them look weird.
Look, if you're putting toxic makeup on your face, which damages your skin, then it turns out that's not good for your skin.
Dom said this has turned into an episode of Rapido. Do you remember Rapido, Hobbit?
What, the publishing company that did Eurotrash?
No, Anton de Cressy did a TV series called Rapido.
Look, the only Rapido I know is Eurotrash, hosted by Antoine de Clones and Jean-Paul Gaultier.
I thought it was Anton de Cressy. Him, anyway, that geezer.
Antoine de Clones' his production company is called Rapido.
Yeah, he also did a TV series called...
I've never seen it.
It used to be on BBC Two. It was on... Do you remember Death 2? Do you remember that? When
I probably...
What's her name was getting down with the kids?
I probably didn't watch it. I do remember watching Eurotrash because as a 14-year-old boy...
That is Antoine de Caunes. Rapido was a British-French music programme presented by Antoine de Caunes in 1987 after the BBC's head of youth and entertainment, Janet Street Poulter, saw the programme. She decided to commission an English language version with de Caunes, which would become part of her Deaf 2 programme.
That horse-faced bint. Hello, I'm Janet Street Poulter, and I'm on Channel 4 because I'm really loud. And they realised they had to let me in the studio or I'd keep talking at my normal volume, which is this. So I'm whispering now. And then they said, oh, we'll have to let her in, otherwise we won't be able to record anything because Janet Street Poulter says, when are you going to let me in, Channel 4? And that's
anyway, the Rapido production company is so called because of Rapido, the TV series that Antoine de Caunes was given.
So Antoine de Caunes later on made this... it was a magazine show for 14-year-old boys across the country called Eurotrash.
Dom wants to talk about the list. He said this list is also available in Braille.
So... Antoine de Clons and Jean-Paul Gaultier made this show called Eurotrash, which featured all sorts of things
It was on its own for ages, weren't it?
Which featured all sorts of things boys are interested in, like cultures of Europe and history. Boobs, yes.
Low.
And men and women doing a poo. Boobs, naked Germans. And the Renaissance architecture.
Jean-Paul Gaultier was a Johnny Come Lately. Like, I think most of them were done by Antoine de Caunes on his own, weren't it?
Women doing a wee on each other. Boobs. More cultural history. Funny voices when showing naked Germans. And did I mention it's got boobs?
And naked Germans in it.
Oh my! There was this segment on Eurotrash, right? Okay, I love this Fortean paranormal investigative show. So they had this.
The Woodwoses want us to talk about Antoine de Caunes, obviously.
They had this transvestite, and that is the correct term. Eurotrash. That is the correct term. YouTube. They had this transvestite on there called Sister Bendy. And Sister Bendy was very interested in the art and culture of Europe. So she got on a bicycle to these various places, and she ended up in, would you believe it, Germany, where she encountered a woman who would harvest female ejaculate and then mix it with watercolour paints and do paintings. And also, she would, instead of using a paintbrush for her canvas, she'd use women's bums and their boobs, and then she'd smear the canvas with her boobs. And the funny thing is, she also did a song about it may not be immaculate, secretions rarely are, but when it comes to ejaculate, it reminds me of Renoir. I went to the Centre Pompidou back when I was a pretentious teenager and I need to edify myself. And I always thought the Centre Pompidou, the architecture of it was beautiful. But the interior is degenerate fucking trash. So I agree with my aunt and uncle, by the way, who took me there, and they didn't realise what it was. And one room, the gallery, was dedicated to this, believe it or not, a German artist. I know it's surprising, right? And his method of painting was he was really interested in the colour ultramarine. So he'd get this ultramarine paint, smear it on women's naked bodies, and then smear the canvas on them. And it definitely wasn't so that you could just feel up their arse and tits for a piece of canvas. No, it was a creative expression of art and emotion. And it's literally one of the canvases is just... It's covered from top to bottom in blue. It's literally if you said to me, go to Dulux, pick up some ultramarine matte and then paint the walls with it. That's what the guy did to a piece of canvas. And back then, in 1990s money, that was worth hundreds of thousands of francs or Deutschmark.
Do you remember that weird German geezer who used to desiccate corpses? The weird German... Oh, God, do you remember? He was, super famous for, a hot minute, weren't he?
Yeah, they had him on Channel 4, and he was doing, public anatomy.
He did this thing where he could plasticise it or something? I think that was his thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, because that way the corpse wouldn't decay so quickly, because if you're trying to do a tour and you got festering corpse, it's going to be nasty. So,
but he also did. Do you remember he did the live autopsy on Channel 4?
Yeah,
where we was yanking on the tendons and the arm was moving and stuff.
Well, the thing is, in the beginning of surgery, there was semi-public exhibitions.
Oh, Ian went to his exhibition.
Well, there you go. Like I said, in the early thing of surgery, it was the surgeon's art, and then you could go in the observation gallery, and they would describe what they were doing and the anatomy of a human. And the idea was it was to train other surgeons, and this is how it's done. But now there's training videos which will show you how to do that surgery, so you don't need to go to a gallery and see it. Although it is kind of useful because a camera won't show you all the angles. Whereas if you're there and you say to the surgeon, I can't see the incision you're making, could you angle it? They can actually turn the table around.
The real question is, Samantha from Bewitched or Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie?
Uh, hmm. Oh, just a sort of brief circling back to the pyramids.
Yeah.
The evidence on unusually high radiation levels in the Old Kingdom sites like Giza and Saqqara, 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 raises fascinating questions. The reports you mentioned, including the Geiger counter readings at Giza near the pyramids and the intense radioactivity in the Khafra Valley building's basement and the Osiris tomb's shaft stone coffers, suggest something extraordinary. Radon RN222 and RN220, with its short 3.5 day half-life, points to an ongoing decay process tied to uranium or thorium in the surrounding materials. The fact that these readings were described as intensely radioactive, especially inside the coffers, as noted by Temple 2010, hints at concentrated source far beyond typical background levels. What's striking is the gap in understanding the primary source. Studies like Lowe's and Saqqara's tombs have measured radon and gamma radiation, often linking it to natural uranium in limestone or granite. Yet the intensity you cited, especially in the specific spots like the Osiris shaft coffers, suggest either unusually rich deposits or something deliberately placed there. The lack of published isotope analysis targeting these exact locations, as we've discussed earlier, leaves a hole in the puzzle. No one's confirmed uranium-235 or thorium-232 at levels that would explain this, and modern restrictions on sampling sacred sites might be why. This ties back to the King's Chamber evidence: vitrification, scorched shafts mounted at coffer edges. If radiation levels elsewhere in Giza and Saqqara are this high, could a natural or artificial process have generated both the heat and the radioactivity? The radon alone wouldn't melt stone, but a uranium-rich material, perhaps concentrated in those coffers or mastabas, could emit enough gamma radiation to cause localized effects over millennia.
Gamma's pretty nasty, isn't it? That's one of the worst radiations, isn't it?
Gamma is the high energy radiation, and it's the one where you need lead shielding for it, because it being a wave, it can penetrate through lots of it, and you need a dense material to. A dense material works a lot like a fiber mask. Like the thicker the fiber is, the more likely you are to catch the gamma ray in it. But the really dangerous
T-shirt over your mouth when there's a deadly epidemic around.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No. So here's the thing, right? When you use lead shielding to stop gamma ray stuff, some of the gamma rays will still get out, because there's like a chance, even though it's very small, that the gamma radiation can still leak out, because it's a permeable membrane. I mean, it might look like solid lead to your eye, but to gamma radiation, it's just like a fiber mask. The really dangerous radiation, in terms of like how poisonous and mutagenic it is alpha radiation, and that's the stuff which can be stopped with a thin sheet of paper.
Where'd you get alpha radiation from then?
Right, so you've got three types of radiation. The highest energy one, and the one which can penetrate the most, is gamma radiation. The one which is below that is beta radiation, which is like a high energy electron, which is free of any of its shells, and also occasionally with beta radiation, some of its positrons, which is a form of antimatter. Positron's the opposite of an electron. And it's used in medical science. Have you ever heard of something called, I think it's called a PET scan, positron emission tomography?
Yes, I've heard of it, but it's PET scans and CAT scans.
So it works a lot like a CAT scan. You're scanning for a radioactive tracer, but the radioactive tracer emits a lot of beta radiation. It's probably technetium, but other things like iodine can be used. And the beta radiation, or what will occasionally give off a positron emission, and because it's in your body, it immediately annihilates with whatever's there, and that gives off a big burst of gamma radiation. So instead of like measuring beta particles, you're measuring gamma ray bursts. And I think.
So you're saying that's a scanner, are you? So it's similar to CAT scans. It's like virtually slice you up like a CAT scan does then.
Well, with the CAT scan, what you're doing there is it's an X-ray, but you're computing the tomography, so you're making like slices of X-rays together to make a 3D image. With the PET scan, I think it's used for circulation blockages, because the way I understand it, and I didn't specialise in nuclear medicine, by the way, but the way I understand it is you inject a radioactive dye into somebody's blood vessels. You can also sort of make them swallow a radioactive solution if you want to have a look at their intestines, but it's something to observe circulation and blockages thereof. So if you've got like someone you suspect's got blood clots in the heart or the brain, they'll do this radioactive dye on you, and then they'll use a gamma ray scanner to observe the high energy gamma rays that come off from the positron annihilation. So anyway, gamma radiation, it's waves, so it will penetrate through anything, and that's why you've got to use thick lead shielding. Beta radiation is particles of high energy electrons, sometimes positrons, and the alpha radiation is like, imagine you've got a nucleus of a helium atom, but all the electrons have been stripped from it. It becomes a very dangerous particle because it's very reactive. It's looking to suck electrons from anywhere, and if it interacts with something, it will destroy that atom. So alpha radiation is the most poisonous. It's definitely something you don't want to breathe in, because it will just linger in your lungs forever, and you'll get tumours. And if it touches your skin, you'll probably get a skin tumour in that place. But because it's very heavy, it will just a thin sheet of paper will be enough to block alpha particle from penetrating. But somebody in the chat who understands this stuff, they might be able to explain, the reason why alpha particles are so damaging is because of its mass or because it lingers. They'll be able to explain why, but I just remember like alpha radiation is the worst, but gamma radiation is the most serious because it's so hard to shield against.
Oh, right, okay.
All of this ionizing radiation is not good for you, put it that way.
Here's something here's something for you, which in a way will lead into our main subject. Do you know the visual effects from Starship Troopers 28 years old, Hobbit?
Oh, from 1997's 20. Oh my god, I'm old. I'm nearly. I'm nearly. By the way, I'm nearly done with this, so I'll get through it quickly. So
yeah.
That's it. We were talking about radiation. This ties back to
radiation.
This ties back to the King Chamber's evidence: vitrification, scorched shaft, and mounted coffer edges. If radiation levels elsewhere in Giza and Saqqara are this high, could a natural artificial process generate both the heat and the radioactivity? The radon alone wouldn't melt stone, but uranium-rich material, perhaps concentrated in those coffers or mastabas, could emit enough gamma radiation to cause localized effects over millennia. The unexplored angle here is whether the ancient Egyptians knew about this. Those warnings of a death by disease no doctor can diagnose would reflect an awareness of radiation's invisible danger. It's a shame more hasn't been done. The focus on carbon dating and construction logistics has overshadowed these anomalies. What's needed now is evidence of isotopes of uranium-235 and thorium-232 at sites in Egypt, which can be easily identified and measured with the portable $350 gamma spectrometer that anyone visiting Giza can carry in their pocket. But again, it's getting access to these restricted sites. So I think the Egyptian government is more than aware that these sites are radioactive. And rather than just reveal to the public, the Great Pyramid that's been there for 1,000 years, is radioactive. So that idea of atomic energy being discovered in, 80 years ago, No, it was known about thousands of years ago as well, and we've forgotten it since then. And they just don't like this idea that, oh, did you know that there was a more advanced civilization before us, and they had nuclear power, and then we forgot about it because we're fucking savages? Yeah, funny that. Anyway, here you go. Radioactive King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid. Move on, please.
Yeah, moving on. I think that's the general word, isn't it?
I thought I was only going to stretch this into about 40 minutes. And I haven't even got through all of my Fortean stuff. I think there's like one more extra thing before we go on to the Grand Canyon. The group of Wikipedia editors comes as guerrilla skeptics. They're trying to get rid of the wiki articles of anyone associated with the UFO disclosure deleted from their website. On their hit list so far are Christopher Mellon, who's deleted, and Harold Malmgren. And the latter had a deathbed confession saying he personally handled UFO technology, or as we call it now, UAP. The editor saying Malmgren isn't noteworthy enough to have his own article for being a minor staffer in the JFK administration, and has written 2 articles about individual horses in the US Army. Oh wait, the editor saying Malmgren isn't noteworthy enough has gone on to write articles about 2 horses in the US Army. So, it's just sort of being hypocritical, saying that the staffer is not noteworthy, but horses are. They're also trying to leak the article from Malmgren's daughter. And that's it, really. Grand Canyon, what's that all about? And who's this desert drifter of which I hear you've been champing at the bit to tell us about?
So you mentioned the Grand Canyon.
I know, but I wanted to make it sound like it was your discovery.
Oh, right, okay then. Go on then, Hobbit.
Oh, my cousin's daughter was on TV last night doing brain surgery in Cardiff Hospital, so the daughter of your cousin. She's a brain surgeon.
Cousin second. What do you share? A grandparent here?
No,
it's your cousin's daughter. It's second. It's twice removed. Cousin twice removed.
It's first removed, but you referred to her as a niece.
No. Because that's your brother or sister's child.
It is your first cousin once removed, and I know this because my nephew is my first cousin once removed.
Yeah.
He is the son of my first cousin. So he's a first cousin once removed.
Okay then.
I also have second cousins and second cousins once removed. Because I am a large Catholic family. Oh, before we get into the desert thing, right. So, did everybody have a good Easter Sunday? I sure did. And it seems God had a funny sense of humour as well on Easter Sunday. So, it happened to coincide with Adolf Hitler's birthday. And it also happened to... yes, it's funny. We celebrate what Hitler did by making things go up in smoke. Bit of an unusual one. I don't see what the relevance is there, but the stoners seem to celebrate his birthday by smoking lots of marijuana. Now, the other thing about Easter Sunday was the Pope died, and he died at if I go onto the ADL website here, this number is a hate symbol, at 88 years old. And 88 years old, according to the ADL, is a commonly known code for HH, which means hold hands. No, it means Heil Hitler. So, what did the Pope mean by dying on Hitler's birthday?
Do you remember when David Cameron thought LOL meant lots of love?
I unironically, with lady friends, use LOL to mean that. Yeah. And then they're like, why are you laughing at me? And be like, no, LOL, according to David Cameron, mean lots of love, and I have lots of love for you.
I'm using it in the David Cameron usage.
Yes. What did Pope Francis mean by HH on Hitler's birthday, dying at the age of 88? ADL, if you'd like to comment on this, I'd be keen to have your insights on this thing, because Pope Francis, the late Pope Francis, who's now deceased, I think it was very anti-Semitic of him dying at the age of 88 on Hitler's birthday, where they smoked marijuana, to say he went up in smoke. I don't know what that's about.
So who do you want? Who do you want JD Vance to visit next, then, Hobbit?
Yes, and the last person to visit the Pope was the Vice President of the United States, JD Vance, also known as Kali, the Destroyer of Men. Oh no, before he's become Shiva, the Destroyer. What was that thing Robert Oppenheimer said when the bomb went off?
I am become something, destroyer of worlds, isn't it?
I've become Vishnu, Ganesh, Shiva, one of those other furbolg shithole demons, the Destroyer of Worlds. So yeah. Anyway, what did the Pope mean by this? And I hope the AGL will weigh in soon, because I need advice from them. I'm hoping they'll also be able to advise Keir Starmer in that documentary he watched, and say, when should 13-year-old boys be having sex so that they can't be an incel?
Yeah.
Because being an incel at 13 apparently is unacceptable, according to the documentary Keir Starmer watched with his son and daughter. And
Keir Starmer. He said, I hope you two are having sex, and I want you becoming an incel. I turned to my son and said, don't be a 13-year-old incel. Oh, have you seen everybody's favourite Star Trek villain has moved on his post? What's George Takei? Klaus Schwab. Oh yeah, Klaus Schwab also, when the Pope died, he moved on because he's been fiddling funds, and now they've replaced him with totally a human being, not a lizard in a skin suit, the former CEO of Netflix. Yeah, Nestle. What's with that eye? Oh yeah, and he had Nestle, that thing where Netflix, Nestle, Hobbit. Yeah, well, that's why I mentioned Nestle, Netflix, same difference. The thing with the eye, like, other people have observed this before, but certain people in the world, remember the old black eye thing? Do you remember when all the top people were getting black eyes? Do you remember that? I find it very interesting that he's got a bloody eye, and you've got all these other people with bloody eyes, and then someone in the comments said, have you noticed it's always the left eye that goes bloody? And then other people said, hey, isn't this where the way they put the brain parasite in, like in, was it Star Trek or Stargate? Like, no, they put it in the ear, don't they, in Star Trek? Oh, well, in that case, in Stargate, they put this brain parasite in through the eye, and it burrows in, and then it controls them. So anyway, definitely not definitely not an alien lizard people is now the head of the WEF. He is 100% human, and he's not being mind controlled by a brain parasite that burrowed in through his left eye, which is why it's bloody. That's just a coincidence. You know, it's just common for like world leaders to all have a bloody left eye when they come to power. I'm surprised Keir Starmer didn't have a bloody left eye when he won the election. Yeah, well, they used to be the black eye, didn't they? Have they moved on now then, have they? I mean, black eyes, bloody eyes, the eye trauma seems to be a common thing amongst these people. Yeah. Hey, here's the thing, right? Look, I don't want to be blasphemous here, so I just understand that there are like some questions I have about the story of Jesus. So the text says, sees a guy perform straight up sorcery, betrays him. Jesus didn't do sorcery; he did miracles. Was Judas retarded? Even on the off chance he wasn't the Son of God, you're still messing with some high level wizard. I don't understand why Judas betrayed Jesus, and especially the reward, 30 pieces of silver. I mean, I don't know what the conversion rate is, but I think even back then, 30 pieces of silver wasn't really a good reward for turning in a friend. Anyway, I'm done now. You're done. What's this? What are we going to talk about? Canyon thing? Why is there Egyptian hieroglyphs in the Grand Canyon? Oh, right, yeah. Well, do you remember our Grand Canyon episode? check it out if you haven't seen it. Our Grand Canyon episode where the dude found the thing in the Grand Canyon and the Smithsonian went, LOL, we lost it. Four lorry loads, don't know where any of it is.
Oh, and also you can't ever visit that site again. And here's all of the areas we have now made of the Grand Canyon, which are now
turned into UNESCO site.
Pray we don't turn more of it into a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Yeah, that was the Grand Canyon where they found that cave full of all like weird stuff. So where have they found hieroglyphs then?
In the Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon's a big place, of it.
Yeah. Well, it's in there then.
Oh, that's it. That's what we're going to talk about. If that's all you're going to do, I bet we're all done with this one then.
So there's this guy called the Desert Drifter, and I haven't watched any of his videos. He died at the age of 36, and people say he's worth watching. Can we put his videos on our thing? Because we could watch them together. I
don't really like playing video.
No?
I don't really like playing video. I like playing like 30-second clips or something.
Yeah, I do. I haven't screened any of them, so I can't say, this is a good one to watch, and this one might be a long one as well. But I'm doing what that substitute teacher does, or when it gets to the end of term time and the teacher can't be bothered to put a lesson on. Yeah. So they roll out the big telly with the VHS VCR underneath, and you're watching like whatever they got, which they deem educational. You know what I'm on about? Yeah, I'm basically like, I want to go round the back of the bike shed and smoke a cigarette whilst the kids are watching Macbeth and laughing at that scene where the guy's head gets chopped off, and they rewind it and play it again and again to the point where all the girls are like crying and saying, it's not funny anymore. And then because they're crying, it's even more funny, so you do it more. I've seen that guy before.
What guy?
I don't think we can show this on YouTube, but it's talking about a mythical race of creatures, which definitely are just purely mythological and don't have any resemblance to any other races that living or extinct. But you see that one in the bottom left? I can probably just do a screenshot of that. I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I can find his face. Frodo Baggins. Let's see if I can find just that one. Especially when there's a bit where he's like grimacing. Let's see if I can find him if he's doing a grimace. Oh, that might be close, actually. Yeah, let me paste this in the thing as well. And then you have a look at that drawing above and then that below.
Yeah.
There's a bit of resemblance there, isn't there? You can sort of... Okay, his features are a bit softer.
Yeah.
But that looks a lot like this purely mythical creature, which has got no bearing or resemblance to... other things living or imagined.
No, there still are a few. Is that Cyrax? Do you remember that Cyrax?
Oh, the guy from Ohio.
Yeah, the fucking weird guy.
Oh, God, yeah, and the weeping sores on his head and the asymmetrical eyes. Yeah, there are some very weird-looking people around. One of my favourite weird-looking people... Have you noticed
how many dysgenic people there are in America?
Well, no, this is a Fortean subject, right? So, are you familiar with like stories saying, famous celebrities have been replaced with body doubles?
I think Ian's had a stroke. Cameron Fadapham, Hobbit Pias... I think Ian's had a stroke, people.
I mean, look, I am caring for my uncle who has dementia. I no joke, right? But
I like you
should
missed
go and
off the
see-
best part of Ian's comment about his cousin's daughter was on TV doing brain surgery. She's a brain surgeon. That's the best bit.
I said that, but I didn't react to it. I just thought, okay, I'm going to read that.
Well, of
I
course.
did actually. I did. Well, it wasn't like, oh yeah, she was doing brain surgery, but yeah, she's a chartered accountant. You know, she's not a brain surgeon. She just thought, look, she like Angela Rayner. She thought she'd just have a go and see what happens.
I don't know. A lot of joggers and that do like to have a go at brain surgery, don't they?
Yeah, but that's different. You see, they're doing it because I don't know. But that picture, one of my favourite mutants is this chap called Royce Miller. And Royce Miller is this morbidly obese living tub of lard who will consume vast quantities of food on camera. And then he drags out into a half-an-hour video with, in between mouthfuls of food, he says, "This food harkens back to the time I ate some other food." And all of his stories are very boring and dull, and they all revolve around food and how he eats vast quantities. My favourite thing as well is, in order to be healthy, whilst he's like downing like a week's worth of calories in one sitting, is he'll quaff water from a gallon jug, a US gallon jug, so that's like 3.5 pints. But yeah, there's a lot of mutants around the one. There's for some very unusual people, and I do like looking at unusual people.
I wasn't sure that when the market provides, you don't end up with people like that.
Well, is there a market? You see, back in the day, you'd pay to go to a
America
circus.
is the ultimate ANCAP paradise, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is. Although some would say, in fact, it's anarcho-tyranny, because you can do things if you're cool, but you can also like not do things if you're a square.
Well, it's literally
because
you know, like if you've got enough money, can't you?
You can also do whatever you like if you're a protected class. But that's not a Fortean subject, so we're not allowed to discuss that on this show. But you know how there's like people that can literally get away with murder and then they'll buy you a nice house. But I wouldn't know anything
honey,
about
garlic
that.
and rosemary roast potatoes. I'm getting so many recipes on X. You getting a lot of recipes on X at the minute?
No, I don't. I get a lot of Fortean stuff and racism, but not much else really.
Just constant food posting and fatties.
Well, here's the thing. I don't really know. Is this like a new trend in America where they found that you can combine honey and chili together?
Yeah.
Because that seemed to be... Ooh. You can get a cloud-shaped wrist support. So the Grand Canyon, what's that all about then?
Yeah. Well, I've done the Grand Canyon. What's that all about? See our previous episode, Hobbit.
Yeah, and also nothing more to see here. That's why this
was that where the bloke found went through did the time travel? Do you remember that guy? Did the time travel on a donkey?
Oh. I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Oh, okay.
No, time travel with the donkey.
Yeah, he did the time travel with escalators and a donkey, and it was all a bit weird. The Indians took him there, didn't they? And normally they cut their eyes out, but they didn't with him.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Go back to our Grand Canyon episode of it.
Yeah. Hey, here's one which I've been thinking about recently. You remember we did it briefly. You talked about the man from Taured.
Yeah.
So for those of you not familiar,
there's supposedly not a lot to that, is there? It's completely made, not real. We made it up. So
in the 1950s, at the Japanese border control, there was this man coming in from a flight, and when he handed his passport, it said the kingdom or the nation of Taured. I assume kingdom. And the border control were like, "Oh, we've never seen this passport before," and they're like, "Look, we're a bit confused about this because we're not saying you're like fake or anything, but we've got a list of all the countries in the world and this map. Can you point on the map where your country is? And so he pointed to where what we call Andorra, which, by the way, I'm convinced is not a real country. It's literally Spain, but for whatever reason
Andorra
they insist
has its own team in the World Cup, Hobbit.
Yeah, but that's like saying Monaco's got its own Grand Prix circuit. It's
Monaco
bullshit.
also has its own team in the World Cup.
Also bullshit. So anyway,
Didier Deschamps. I think Didier Deschamps used to play for Monaco.
no, nobody is born in Monaco for the Monaco football team. Monaco is just a rich principality which is able to have its by its own players.
The thing is, you get these more weird teams less in Europe because obviously the competition's better because it's the home. You know, England being the home of football, it kind of radiates out from there, doesn't it?
Yeah, but again, like, look, you might say, oh, the Vatican City and San Marino have their own World Cup teams. It's like,
I'm pretty sure San Marino does it for its own World Cup team. I don't know about,
that exactly
about the Vatican City.
That proves my point. These are city-states. There's not enough people in the city-state to do the population. They're just buying them in from other countries. It makes a mockery of the World Cup. The World Cup should be like, these are people from your team. These people are Englishmen. These people are Frenchmen. They represent your country. But now it's just like, LOL, just buy players from wherever and put like a different coloured shirt on them. It's crap. I mean, not all teams like that in the World Cup. Like, if you look at the Uruguay team, they are Uruguayans. If you look at the South Korean team, they're South Koreans. There's no Japs or North Koreans in the South Korean team. And they might not be the best team in the world, but I like Uruguay and I like South Korea because they actually represent that country. The Icelandic team as well, they did quite well, and they were just Icelanders. And there's only 300,000 people on Iceland. The man from Taured, he pointed to the map at Andorra and said, that is where I'm from, that country is called Taured. And they said, look, we're going to have to detain you until we can get a confirmation back from the country. So they kept him in a prison cell for 3 days, and on the third day, when they went to visit him, he was gone. And just vanished into thin air. There was no signs that he escaped. No tampering with the locks. It was just as if there was nobody put into the cell. Very unusual story. Now, the reason I bring it up.
So pot 5 in the European qualifiers for the World Cup. Moldova, Malta, Andorra, Gibraltar, Liechtenstein, and San Marino all get a team each.
Yeah, but Malta's actually like...
The Faroe Islands have their own team.
So, yeah, but that's part of Denmark. That might be like saying Greenland's got its own team. The Faroe Islands is just a Danish... I mean, in that case, we might as well say, United States is separate
Israel?
from...
Israel is in the European parts.
Look... This again.
This is the Fortean subject of what the fuck is going. Russia was in it as well. Is in the Europe. Is in eligibility to become a Europe to get into the World Cup. Europe. Yeah,
and Australia is in Eurovision. So it's just none of these things respect borders anymore, nationalities. It's all just
Luxembourg. You might as well have the own team. I mean, can they find 11 people from Luxembourg to play football?
Well, look, if they can find 11 footballers in San Marino, they certainly can find 11 footballers in Luxembourg. I mean, there's more than 11 petrol stations in Luxembourg. I can tell you that for free.
There's more than 11 companies based in one block in Luxembourg.
Around about Christmas time, I was in Belgium, and I think it was €1.60 for a litre of diesel, and in Luxembourg it was €1.40 for a litre. Now I think at the conversion rates, €1.60 was £1.32. So 20 cents less, that's probably going to be closer to £1.10 for... Imagine paying £1.10 for a litre of diesel. That's the Luxembourg. But in fact, you know what? What if I type in right now?
Remember on teletext when you could get the world fuel prices?
Luxembourg fuel price. Let's have a look at it right now. So the current gasoline price, gasoline is the American word for petrol, in Luxembourg is €1.44 per litre. But what about diesel? I want to know global petrol prices.
What the fuck? There's not just Macedonia. There's North Macedonia as well. I bet. Is it?
I don't. The Balkans, they do this thing where every week they decide to have a war, and it's a shit show. In GBP, so €1.44 is £1.23. So if you're planning a trip to the continent, fill up in Luxembourg. It's £1.23 for a litre of petrol. Oh, the passport guy was from the Dominion of Melchizedek, but Melchizedek is in our time then, whereas Talred is not in our timeline.
No, the passport guy wasn't from Dominion of Melchizedek. Dominion of Melchizedek's a scam, isn't it?
Interdimensional, yeah, but I'm saying that the Dominion of Melchizedek is in our timeline, whereas the Kingdom of Talred is not. Yeah. Interdimensional mentions Andorra has their national counter-strike
right,
team.
no, that's interdimensional theory that the passport guy was actually from the Dominion of Melchizedek.
This qualifies them as a nation. So, because like I didn't understand.
Right? Did the Dominion of Melchizedek have a team in the World Cup?
When I was looking at the Steam earnings for various games, like one in the top 10, and it might even be at number 1, and it has been at number 1 in the past, is Counter-Strike. And I don't understand it because Counter-Strike is free. And I've played it before, and I thought it was all right. I found it a bit too.
In it, no?
Well, no, this is the thing, you see. So what happens when you win a game? You get a skin. And some of the skins are quite valuable and others are not. And if you're in the third world nation, you can actually, as a viable career, be a Counter-Strike player. And then you make your money by selling Counter-Strike skins. And you can make something like $20 a day doing that, which, that's 100.
Obviously, EA don't own this, otherwise they'd have fucking stamped it out by now, wouldn't they?
That's $140 a week.
Speaking of gaming, although I have no intention of playing it, Darth Jar Jar is in the next season. Is in the next Star Wars season of Fortnite, apparently.
So, if you're earning $140 a week, that's a decent wage for a third world country. Therefore, Andorra, third world country.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
You know about the Darth Jar Jar theory, don't you, from Star Wars?
Yeah, so Jar Jar is Sith Lord, and then for whatever reason, George Lucas was like, "Oh, actually, no, I'd like him to not be." And the prequel series suffered as a result because
do you think they took it out quite late? Because they seemed to do a lot of the setting up for it, didn't they?
Well, it's just there's too many coincidences that they land on the planet, and then just like out of random, this seeming bumbling buffoon just like follows them. And I think it would have actually been a lot better if they actually had Jar Jar as the one who's like turning Annie onto the dark side by getting him to be like, "Is it going to show you how to bring back from the dead?"
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it was 20. I want to say it's 20 years ago. It's nearly like as old as Starship Troopers, isn't it?
Gotta be. It's gotta be.
That's now considered old hat according to the new generation of broccoli-headed.
Well, according to Ben Shapiro says it's ancient history now.
Yeah, USS history, that's ancient history. So anything that happened before the USS Liberty incident is just completely irrelevant and definitely not should be the basis of any policies going forward.
Exactly.
And I think the AGL would agree with that.
Yeah. And I think
They'll
Ben Shapiro would agree with that himself.
They'll be like, look, yeah, it's sad, but it was a long time ago. Let's just all move on from it.
Yeah.
And not just turn it into a grift that we're going to keep on milking for the next 160 years.
And there was another survivor speaking about something the other day, weren't there?
Well, isn't it funny? You know, I get older every year, and yet the survivors, they're getting younger. How does that work out? Are they from an alternate time?
Isn't deep trauma supposed to... Isn't that supposed to cut years off your life?
Well, the thing is, if the survivors are getting younger every year and I'm getting older every year, does that mean I'm living on an alternate timeline, or they're living on alternate timelines? Because normal progression, like linear progression, you would say that, oh yeah, as you get older, things get older.
Yeah, like cops look younger as you get older, don't they?
Yeah.
You see people driving and you think, are they old enough to drive?
Can I read some of this? I look at some people and it's like, how on earth can you be a member of parliament? I mean, like, you should be taking my order at Costco. No, not Costco. I know what cafes are called. You should be taking my order at Costa Coffee. There we go, or Cafe Negro.
I take it you absolutely won't say Starbucks.
Their coffee is poor quality. They over roast the beans.
Yeah.
I got to read you this Chinese ad copy for. By the way, today's episode is brought to you by Wrist Rest Keyboard and Mouse. And this wrist rest, right? Not only does it do that, but it's got this thing on it called finger pressure massage sensation, relieve stress and work with ease. I don't know what's making the finger massage, because this photograph shows the hand model and they're holding their fingers over the keyboard and mouse whilst they're resting their wrists on this.
Advert.
Oh God, that
yeah.
No, whoever's doing this is resting their wrists on this wrist pad. And, here we go. Soft rebound, restoring the sofa-like feeling. Because that's what I want for a wrist rest. I want something that feels like a sofa. It's supple support. What else has it got? Massage pattern design, breathable and sweat-free. So the massage pattern is a bunch of honeycombs. What else have we got? With massage lines, more comfortable than ordinary ones. You don't want one of those ordinary wrist rests. You want one with massage lines. You see, it's not just
when you've been resting your arm on it for a while, you pull it off and your arm looks like the inside of a crunchy bar.
Well, that's it. You see, you don't want one of those ordinary wrist rests. You want one here with its hexagonal honeycomb structure, or you can twist it up because the inside is made out of nothing but foam. Durable and non-deformable, more durable use. I think that maybe that means something in Chinese, but I don't know what.
I think it loses a bit in translation, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now here's the thing. In case you didn't notice from the other pictures, right? The massage lines with 2mm spacing, very important. The massage lines.
Did you ever have one of those really shitty wrist vests, the ones that had 3mm spacing?
Oh, look! My wrists demand the quality and comfort that can't be found from ordinary ones. You'll be very pleased to know it's odorless. ODOR. It's odorless. So whatever odor is.
Yeah.
Select high quality memory cotton. Have you ever heard of memory cotton?
Is that has young spelling? Whether have they still got the U shortage in America?
Well, you see, as an agreement for the Lend-Lease program, they were going to give us all the letter U's in the alphabet. But that's what Lend-Lease was.
And we'll.
Yeah. So again, finger presser massage, comfortable work. Finger presser massage, deep wrist guard. Massage wrist guard. And it's a massage wrist guard. It's comfortable and breathable. 3-5 second rebound. Suitable for all seasons. Oh, good. I was hoping I wouldn't have to like swap out my summer
They just
wrist.
take those fair weather wrist.
I really hate it when you got to swap out your summer wrist rest for the winter wrist rest, and it's just like I want to get some all weather wrist rests.
Yeah,
It's just I accept the compromise that the braking distance won't be as good during the winter.
yeah.
It's a large size. That it's a large size.
What if you got a small wrist?
A large size is 440 by 80 by 20 mil. Oh, actually, 400. That's 44
I like it when you buy
centimetres.
clothes off the internet and then they come and then you've bought an XL, but it looks like doll's clothes because it's like a Chinese XL.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, what? Yeah, it's always just, the Chinese hate fatties, so you need to order the super blimp size. Oh, speaking of super blimps,
the 5XL, the 10 to the power of the 10 to the power of 5XL.
Oh, they'll need. No, if you get the Chinese size, it's like, oh, you're too fat. You need to wear a tent like Homer Simpson in that episode of Simpsons.
English people too fat. You're too fat.
You're too fat. We take entire cotton field to make this cloth for you. I'm gonna have to get my tape measure out for this because I don't like 44 centimeters long. What's that in inches?
About a foot and a half.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, if it's 30 centimetres, that's 1 foot long, right?
It's just short of half a metre or half a yard. A cubit. It's about a cubit, I bet.
Well, actually, if I put my cubit down... Oh, my keyboard is exactly 1 cubit in size.
Yeah.
My keyboard is a cubit in size. So how about
it's
them
a bit shorter than a cubit.
Oh, well, there we go then. So it's a cubits. Oh, why didn't they just say it's 1 cubit length? They're using centimetres. Nobody likes that. Dom Alfcooker says he likes a nice
I was just going to say
gluten-free wrist rest. Well, you'll be happy to know that this one with the 2mm massage lines is made out of PU. And as far as I know, PU. Which is also it's odorless PU. As far as I know, PU doesn't contain gluten.
Remember when PU is what I used to say about someone who smelled? PU.
Yes, the Anime Girl breast mouse pads, I'm familiar with them. My friend had a SpongeBob one, and it was SpongeBob's arse cheeks as the bit you rest your hand in.
But SpongeBob's arse cheeks are square.
Yeah, but that was the funny thing, because this mouse mat was... It's one form, and then they just print various silly things on it.
Yeah. So they're just the anime boob rest with...
Normally it's an anime boob breast, but people have also done it with Hank Hill's arse cheeks, which I always find ironic because he was notorious for... In fact, there's an episode where he gets arse cheek inserts because his arse cheeks aren't big enough. So he's got backache because his bum is not providing adequate rest for his coccyx.
Do you know we've actually done an hour and a half of it?
It's not bad for just... I think I'll stretch this into 40 minutes. 1.5 hours later. We haven't even gotten to the subject of the Grand Canyon. Well, no, we have gotten to the subject
of the Grand Canyon, but it's basically like, if you want to know about the Grand Canyon, look at our previous episode on it.
And also, there's a chap. So there's a chap here. Oh, this is a short. So how long's this short? It's 30 seconds.
The guy I was talking about that travelled back in time. Do you not remember him? His Indian guide took him up there. It's absolutely taboo. Normally people get their eyes cut out, but this guy didn't. And he took him up there. He took him up the hill on the donkey, and he also went through like the time warp on the donkey as well.
Do you know, you saying that reminds me of something I heard today. It was this chap, he was speaking to a Japanese friend of him, and he says, "Oh, I'm convinced that America's a Shinto nation." He says, "What do you mean by that?" I'd be like, "No, they're Christians." He says, "No, look at it. You go to all these places in America, and you'll find totem poles and statues venerating animals. They worship the animal spirits of those places. you will find more idols for animals and Shinto spirits than you will of Christian crosses.
Are those like weird, like the weird old donut things that you see in the movies? The donut boy on the top of the shop. I mean, they seem like idols almost, don't they?
Yeah. There are places where people come to venerate, and they have positive associations with those things. And there's that brazen bull in New York. The one they rub it prior to doing a financial transaction. So I think there's probably a glimmer of truth of that there is. I mean, I don't know much about Shinto, so I'm. But to me, if they're talking like it's like worshipping idols, then yeah, there is. That's a nice clickbait title. I found a World War II German spy cave hidden in the American desert. I found a prehistoric building on top of America's most famous mountain.
That reminds me. Did you see the? I don't know whether you had anything to do with the piling. There was a piling because an Argentinian was moaning about Hitler, and then somebody got straight in on him about where Hitler went after World War II.
I think they've pretty much confirmed, and the Argentinians have as well, that he came to live in Argentina and had a family.
Well, they found him on that. I watched that TV series, Hunting Hitler.
They had he's got a daughter whose identity is protected. I think I'm going to have to watch.
Do you think that was some sort of deal, or he actually did slip away? I think it would have been hard for him. But even if he did slip away, you wouldn't. They would have sent a death squad after him or something. So he must have done a deal with somebody.
I think much like Napoleon, where Napoleon was exiled, and then he was like, "LOL, I'm going to come back now, and I'm going to raise an army," and he did it a few times. And then there's, look, you're causing trouble. If you don't accept this exile, you're going to be executed. So I think I think with Hitler, they said, look, don't do what Napoleon did. Just go to Argentina, live out the rest of your life there, and just accept that you've lost.
I think they've they've DNA'd the skull from the bunker, and that turned out to be Hogue.
Is it? Oh, I don't know.
It turned out to be a woman's skull. Even it was like that bad. It's just like they picked up a random skull.
Now that I've heard before, you don't need DNA to say, well, look, a female skull and a male skull, they're quite different in shape. And I assume it was a European female skull. They didn't get like a sub-Saharan one.
Just have a look. Should we see if there's been some? I'll put DNA testing.
But seriously, what's up with the Pope dying on Hitler's birthday at the age of 88, which stands for HH? Which, as the ADL's pointed out,
was it Easter Sunday or Easter Monday?
So Easter Sunday, Hitler's birthday, Dude Wee Day, and the Pope dying at 88, which the ADL tells me is a hate symbol for Heil Hitler.
Yeah, here you go. I found it on ABC News. Russians deny DNA test concluding Hitler's skull is not actually Hitler's. So this is from the December the 9th, 2009. I can't remember hearing this at the time. So controversy surrounding Adolf Hitler's skull fragments is a little embarrassing for the Russian secret services. In 2000, they presented a skull fragment and a piece of jawbone they claimed were the remains of the Nazi leader in an attempt to quash outlandish rumours that he'd escaped alive at the end of the World War II. You know, those outlandish, crazy... These rumours are a bad thing. These rumours should be true, and they are a good thing. Hitler survived World War II, and here's why you should just put up with it. It's how the things are going to go. But in October, US researchers presented the results of DNA tests on the skull and said it definitely didn't belong to the dictator because it was from a female. Scientists had already harboured doubts about the authenticity of the piece of bone because it was thinner than a male's usually is. The bone seemed very thin. Male bone tends to be more robust. It corresponds to a woman between the ages of 20 and 40. says Nick Bellatoni. So would that be maybe Eva Braun's?
Well, it just because it's a female skull doesn't mean it's Ava's. It could be any sort of person, really.
Oh, so you think maybe it's not even somebody from the bunker? It's just random skull.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have more to say than that.
Oh, okay. Moscow is the only place with the mortal remains of Hitler, Christoforov said. However, Bellatoni said he was allowed to work on the skull for an hour. When he flew home from Moscow, he had 2 samples in his luggage. A sample from the skull fragment and 1 sample of blood from the sofa on which Hitler is said to have shot himself. Bellatoni was able to compare to the bloodstains on the bloodstained fabric with photos the Soviets took after they seized Hitler's bunker in Berlin. The stains had matched those in the photos. The research showed that sofa blood DNA did not match the skull DNA. The sofa blood was male and the skull belonged to a woman.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. I thought that was the case, but it's nice to have your biases confirmed now and again, isn't it?
Exactly.
The Guardian. Oh, okay then. So the Guardian says, this is Interdimensional Lizard says it says that Hitler's ashes were dug up by the KGB in 1970 and scattered, but Wikipedia disagrees. Both stupid sources, but they contradict each other.
Yeah, well, they're all just lying, aren't they?
Yeah, they're. It's one of those lies now where I don't think there are certain lies where it goes on so long that they can't really go back on them. Like who killed JFK, all that, all this kind of stuff. They can't really go back on it because they've vilified anybody who said anything to the opposite of it for ages now, haven't they?
Well, it's why I've lost all respect for them, and you shouldn't have any either. I think that annoyed me about that was my dad, like, one of the first stories he told me is never to trust doctors because they killed my uncle. And I never met him. He died before I was born. But he had bacterial meningitis, and the doctor sort of came visiting and said, "Oh, he's tired, just let him sleep." And so it was drummed into me from an early age, never trust doctors, don't trust authority. And then when the chinky pox happened, he went on and had the Panda Pops because the government says you need to drink blue Panda Pops. And he was like, oh, okay. And then a year later, you need to drink the yellow Panda Pops. Well, I felt ill after taking the blue Panda Pops, but I'll take the yellow one. No, I feel even worse.
Yeah.
Now I've got Parkinson's. How did this happen?
I think the same's been with like my dad as well. Like he went... Like he's always been like anti-authority. Don't trust them. Don't pay as little tax in.
But at the same time, the government told me to get Panda Pops lemonade, and I don't even like it. But the government
I've noticed. I don't know whether it brain damaged him because he's now become really quite far left.
My dad's not. My dad's
he's gone like full like. Trump's destroying the country. Kamala's a great candidate. Like weird shit like that.
So it is an example, right? I think both your dad and mine suffer from terminal boomeritis. So my dad tells me what an existential threat Putin's going to be to me over time. It's like, well, Putin's never banned me for hate speech terms of service violations, and Putin's never called a 13-year-old boy an incel who needs to get laid.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I mean, I'm sure Putin's a nasty man because he was in the KGB.
I don't think you get anywhere in Russia by winning tickling competitions, do you?
Put it this way, I know for a fact, because I read Russian, that one of the hiring criteria of a KGB agent is you have to be not very nice. and Vladimir Putin scored quite highly in being not very nice. So I agree with him that Vladimir Putin is not a very nice man. But I'm also saying
it's quite possible that he's not a very nice man.
I am quite satisfied. If someone said to me, Vladimir Putin, he's not a very nice man, I'd be like, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But is he an existential threat to me? No. I don't give a fuck about what Vladimir Putin's doing. I mean, more power to him. The Russians seem to like him. They think he's doing right by them. And who am I to argue with that? It's not anything to do with me. But you see, my dad says that, but at the same time, he's also like, yeah, we got too many foreigners here. We need to kick them out. And there's going to be a time one of these days where I'm really going to upset him with saying, Hitler wouldn't allow the Packies here. He wouldn't have had it. Axel Rudikabana, Hitler wouldn't have put up with him. Axel Rudikabana would not have been allowed in Nazi Germany. That's how much of an evil bigot Adolf Hitler, who lived in Argentina, was.
Yeah.
He would not have said Axel Rudikabana is a choir boy that is in the Salzburg choir. Because he wasn't in the Salzburg choir, he was in the Cardiff choir. But point being is, that Adolf Hitler was a bigot and he was a racist and he hated Axel. Adolf Hitler, on his deathbed, said, I hate Axel Rudikabana and his Rwandan father. In fact, I wish I had enacted the final solution against Rwandans. Because that's how much of a big meanie Adolf Hitler was. And here at 14 Words, YouTube, I just like it officially put on the record, YouTube. On the YouTube, on the official YouTube record, here at 14 Words, we disavow big meanie Adolf Hitler. And also the Pope for dying on Adolf Hitler's birthday to get everybody to say 88 because that's the age he died at. That was very anti-Semitic, Pope Francis. Why did you do that? Why did
the good Lord take him on that day?
Yeah. Why did God Almighty himself decide, right, Bishop Bergoglio, also known as Pope Francis, you are now 88 years old on Hitler's birthday, which is also, 88 HH Heil Hitler. I'm going to take you away from the world now on your 88th birthday, on Hitler's birthday, Pope Francis. That's weird, that is. I just think that's a little bit strange. That's, dare I say it, Fortean?
So did he die on Easter Sunday then, did he?
Yeah, he died Easter Sunday.
I'm pretty sure that's God sending us a message. That's enough of this black pope. We've had enough now.
Well, just the world is not ready for a Jesuit pope, and I've heard arguments. I don't understand them myself, but I sort of think, oh well, if people are saying that, there must be a reason for it. That a Jesuit can never be a pope, and as everybody knows, Pope Francis was, and up until the day of his death, a Jesuit. And also, here's another thing, right? So, two former Catholics, one being former President Joseph Robinette Biden, Robinette being, this is the French word for tap.
Hold on.
Joseph,
speaking of Biden and America and stuff, is tipping culture in America, is it insane or what?
It's entitlement culture.
Right, if you can't tip your server, don't go out to eat. So your bill is $107.53, I bet. So you have to decimal over one, $10.75. Then times it by 3, $32.75. So your total for your $107.53 dinner is $139.75.
Now, what you're supposed to do, right, is whenever the bill is on the thing, you double it, and then what you've doubled, you give to the server, and then you get your hands on your knees, and you suck their dick and say, thank you so much from walking between the kitchen to my table and putting this plate of microwaved food with sauce put on it in front of me. I worship you, my Lord and Saviour, the fucking waiter.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's odd.
It just, look, go fuck yourself. How about that?
But do you remember Reservoir Dogs? Learn to fucking type. Do you remember that?
No, actually, I barely even remember Pulp Fiction. There's just something I find about Quentin Tarantino's films where he just tries too hard. They even took the piss out of him in The Simpsons. Do you remember, Itchy and Scratchy, directed by Quentin Tarantino? And Itchy and Scratchy, they're having a dance once they've stabbed each other and bleeding out. They're just having a Pulp Fiction style dance while all this blood's gushing out of their bellies. Oh God, do you remember Simpsons had Itchy and Scratchy? And it was just oh yeah, violent cartoons, aren't they funny? God,
What do you think to Pakistan and India are about to fight each other again, aren't they?
The bit which I find strange about that is they had a war in 1999 and nobody knew or cared. They were just like, oh yeah. Well, the thing is, they have a war, right? And the casualties will be like a fraction of how many Indians die every year from their road accidents. So, like, by the way, every year in India, 178,000 deaths on the road. Oh, terrible war with Afghanistan between Pakistan and India. Oh yeah? Yeah, the combined casualties on each side total 30,000. So, in other words, it's like equivalent to January in India from road traffic. Isn't that
literally like one of their things where they have a stampede or something? Like they have one of their festivals and they have a stampede. Don't they normally lose that amount of people during one of those?
I'll get the calculator. So 178,000. And that's probably how many they lose to cholera every
Speaking
week.
of which, I've just watched a video where they're tearing down and rebuilding an original Jeep, where Willie's Jeep in the field was possible in less than 4 minutes.
Yeah, there's our competitions for like field stripping a Jeep. So, right, every month in India, it's nearly 15,000, 14,833 deaths every month. So, a terrible war with India and Pakistan where there's 30,000 casualties. So that's the equivalent to January and February in India from road traffic accidents. Oh, God, how terrible.
Isn't that like the bus, the train, when they have like a train derailment? Because there's all the people inside and then there's all the people hanging around as well, isn't there?
I mean, well, the number of like deaths from like selfies where like some Indians walking next to the train and then gets knocked down. I think probably one of the reasons the death toll so high there when it comes to it is because whenever someone's had like a major accident or something, is oh, hang on, sorry, that was for the podcast. I found it interesting that the pyramids have high levels of radiation. I didn't know that radon gas has a half-life of 3 days, so it's only generated as a side effect of thorium or uranium decay. I think there's other materials like cesium and radium that also give off radon in their decay. Yeah, right. So it's just explain to a friend why I sent them the thing about the pyramids. What we were talking about? Oh yeah, India, and then the cholera and trains. Yeah, so one of the things they like doing in India when someone's had like a major accident or something, and they've been badly injured and probably broken bones, is they immediately pick them up and they give their spine a jiggle.
It's like, shit! I forgot about this one. You know about
what's that?
I don't know if you have a chance to look into it yet. The sun dimming experiments that our government's going to do.
Oh, we haven't even covered this. So, yeah. Right, the thing is, in Fortean, we talk about paranormal conspiracy theories, but if the government's just officially saying, hey, you know that thing when Monty Burns got shot by Maggie because he was going to blot out the sun? And so, yeah, the government went, oh, yeah, we like Monty Burns' idea. Let's just blot out the sun with chemtrails. So, by the way, YouTube, I know you're going to put a disclaimer saying chemtrails are disproven conspiracy theory, except in the UK where they're actually using chemtrails to blot out the sun.
And we actually read out huge swaths of it from the government website.
Yeah, so guys, government is dimming the sun. Because if the one thing that there's too much of in this country, it's sunshine. We definitely need to dim it in this country.
Yeah. Well, we have far too much sun in this country. We're about to have a 22 degree C heat wave, Hobbit.
Yeah. So for the Americans at home, oh god, let me get my converter
30, so 70ish, 75. So.
if I get my converter, well, in my room this morning it was 58 degrees, which where's the fucking converter? Right, temperature, right, Fahrenheit, 58 degrees. So my room was 58 degrees this morning, so it was 14 Celsius. Now, in Celsius, 22 degrees is 71 Fahrenheit. It's nearly 72 Fahrenheit. So, yeah, look, the government does this thing, and I know Americans like to go, oh, God, English can't stand 71 degrees. They call it a heat wave. No, we don't call it a heat wave. It's the UK government. They do this propaganda. And the propaganda is saying, like, watch out, guys, because they did it last year as well. Do you remember when they're saying it was a 26-degree heat wave and you're going to suffer a sunstroke and die? 26 degrees is lovely. For Americans in the audience, 26 degrees in...
Hobbit, I know he's one of your favourite YouTubers, but Nikocado Avocado is the difference in size between them in 2016 and 2024.
Right, so 26 Celsius in Fahrenheit is 79.
Yeah.
He's not one of my favourite YouTubers, and he's incredibly irritating. Funny enough, he doesn't enter up in
good God, I've just seen him and his missus stuffing their faces. I like you in it, Hobbit, so you can see, you'll enjoy it.
He's a very disgusting homosexual who...
Is he? I thought that was his bird. He sat with a woman eating food.
There's a video with him and his ex-boyfriend where they're stuffing their faces, and then there's some woman who's getting stabbed to death in the street and screaming. They pause eating, like chewing for like a few seconds, and then they just carry on chewing and eating like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And then when they're carrying on chewing, the screaming gets louder. It's like, at any point do they think, oh, you know what, I don't think we can carry on with this video. Why don't we just, like, you know, cancel this one and we'll do another one? No, they're just like, oh yeah, let's just keep on rolling. It'll be fine.
Ooh, Hobbit, would you like to play football with a bowling ball and a pitch of Lego in bare feet?
So, hang on, I don't know how to break this to you, but I'm like, some people say I'm a masochist because I make spreadsheets for fun.
Yeah, but you're not that much of a masochist.
But by the way, chaps, if you watch my stream, I've been playing this game called Schedule 1 recently, and I actually, in the latter half of the stream, I opened up the spreadsheet to show you how much profit I was making, and showing you how, like, weed is more profitable than meth because of all the steps involved where I was improving the quality of the product. So that was the thing. I enjoy, like, spreadsheets. And I've had fun with them before. Like, the last time I did a spreadsheet was, well, actually it was to make comma-separated values of invoices, and I made an automated system to extract the data into a spreadsheet. And I just realised I should have, like, been doing highly paid work for that. But never mind. I saved the company thousands of pounds because they were going to take it to an accountancy firm to enter the data by hand. And I was like, but you can automate this. Oh, if you do it... I didn't even get a fucking pint for that. I didn't even get any acknowledgement. It's just like, oh, well, it's just part of your work, is it? It's like, no, my work is to teach people how to use the fucking lathe and write up invoices. Like, what this is doing is specialised programming knowledge. You know, programmers tend to get highly paid for doing this thing, which saves you thousands of fucking pounds, because rather than having to hire like a team of accountant staff... So the last thing I did with spreadsheets was I made an automated system to put all the invoices in columns showing sales and costs throughout the years. But the fun spreadsheet I did before that was a mileage calculator, which would automatically calculate cost per mile, and it would show you cost per litre, and it would draw you graphs, so it would show you like your mileage and going up and down in time. But I don't bother using it anymore because I've got this app for my phone. And it does the same thing. I put in my Odo value and how many litres I bought and the price. And it shows me like price per mile and my mileage. And I'm a bit disappointed actually because my last fuel...
I've got some NASA news here. Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips racing to become the first woman to have sex in space following Blue Origin trip.
Alphabet Cat says Hobbit makes spreadsheets on the temperatures that his stove gets to over winter. Well, the thing is
Yeah.
that would have to be a plotted graph, Alphabet Cat, because it gets to a peak at a certain point, and then the temperature goes down when they stop feeding it fuel. No, here was the thing actually. I'm not sure if you were watching my stream earlier today when I was playing Schedule 1 Alphabet Cat. It might have been Interdimensional Lizard.
Are you playing Doom again, Hobbit?
Yeah, I was playing the Doom mod called Schedule 1. And so now I factored in the cost of the seeds and all the ingredients that I mixed with it. But what I hadn't factored into the cost was soil. Now, it's quite interesting in the game. There's 3 tiers of soil. There's the basic one, like the bag costs you $10. And then tier 3 soil costs like $60. But a tier 3 soil you can use for up to 3 plantings. So effectively, if that was like 1 bag, it will cost $20. Well, I did the calculations. Now, my profit for the super duper weed per nugget is $102 and something cents. And if I was to use the really expensive soil, the tier 3 stuff, that effectively doubles the price of soil per harvest. Yeah, my profit with that was like $101.5. So no, it was even less than that. So the total difference in I actually wrote it down to like a friend that does computer science, and I found like the difference was.
I've got some news for you. A child ate
90
pizza in Mumbai and complained about stomach aches and vomited. Marathi activists found the restaurant and found out they were using rotten food and vegetables in cooking.
Well, I'm not surprised. It's India, but secondly, a reporter in England noted that actually it's Bombay and it's Peking. It's not whatever jibber jabby language you just used then. Because I don't recognise the country called Burma. It's called Burma.
Oh, what, Myanmar, you mean?
No, it's Burma.
Do they not realise that these names that we call them by are only for our reference? They're not actually the name of the country.
So here's the thing, right? If your country or town is significant enough that it has a translation into that country, you should feel fucking honoured. Like, I don't get upset with the French when they mispronounce London as Londres, or when they call Dover Douvres.
What it'd be like us marching into France and demanding they call us England with an English accent whenever they say England.
Yeah, and be like, excuse me, it's not Angleterre, it's England, and it's not Douvres, it's Dover.
It's not England, mate. It's England. Say it properly.
Well, that's why I get really pissed off with those Western Russians in Ukraine saying like, "Oh, it's not Kiev, it's Kefefi." I'm like, look, mate, I don't speak whatever jibber jabber Slavic gobbledygook vodka language you know fetal alcohol syndrome bullshit you speak. I can't mispronounce words like you do with your speech impediment where you say Kiev is Kefefi. It's Kiev. It's Kiev now. It shall ever be Kiev. Yeah. And likewise, you should be honoured that,
mate. The chicken Kievs.
Yeah. And if you want to be fancy of it, you say it's a chicken cutlet of Kiev.
Yeah.
Because it's a Kiev-style chicken cutlet.
Yeah.
Like a French fry, its formal title is a julienne cut potato because when you julienne vegetables, you make them into that chip shape. You know the chip. Well, for the audience on the wireless, a julienne cut. If you close your eyes and you picture a chip in your now, this is going to be a challenge for those that can't picture things in their mind. Just picture a rotating apple in your mind. And that's what a chip looks like. That's a julienne cut. Most Americans can't say julienne cut, so they'll say it's a French fried potato, and that's why. So it was the thing, right? I actually was quite mollified when I was told this, because I got really pissed off with the Americans saying, "Look, they're from Belgium. It's got nothing to do with France," and they're like, "Well, actually, we know they're Belgian." It's just that most French can't pronounce julienne cut because it is a julienne cut potato. So that's why we call it a French fried, because it's in the French style. Because the French taught the world how to do a julienne cut. including the Belgians.
But don't the Yanks call them French fries for a different reason? Because they literally can't be called chip potato.
Well, no, it's literally like, okay, so here's an example, right? We don't call Paris Paris because we don't. Most English, they can't do the rolling R, and like I'm happy to say it's
just not how we speak.
Well, no, and likewise, I'm quite happy to say it's Lake Ness because I'm not Gaelic and I can't do Loch. So, but it's a similar sort of thing where you got to do silly stuff with the roof of your mouth, like with R's in French. We don't call it Paris. We call it Paris because it's hard to say the thingy. So, likewise, they don't call it Julienne cut. They call it French fried. And here's a fun bit of trivia about the original French fried potatoes. So, Belgian fishermen, and it was one of the winters where the ice was too thick in the river to cut through, and they were like, right, shit, what are we going to do? We can't fry any fish because we can't fish. What if we get these potatoes and we cut them into the small shape of the fish, which they call frites, and we fry those instead? And so they cut the potato, which you got to think it's a lot of effort to cut like the potatoes into the shape of, and you end up with lots of like offcuts of potato from your potato whittling. And I think eventually they sort of cottoned on to like, well, instead of making them fish shaped, what if we just did a julienne cut? So that's how the Belgians are making chips. It was too cold to do fishing, so they just said, "Oh, sod it. Let's just have some chips, shall we?" Oh yeah, the French say crème anglaise rather than custard.
To be shallow fried, then is that what you're saying?
No, you deep fry it because, well, I mean, you can shallow fry the stuff if you want, but no, for a long time
they were fishing, and that's why they did it.
Yeah, well, here's an example, right? Fried chicken. Now, I quite like the Townsends for this because they do historical food investigations. When they were doing fried chicken, they go back to an 18th century Dutch. Well, no, it's older than the 18th century. They found it in a 16th century Dutch cookbook of how to do fried chicken, and it's much like ours. They make a batter coating for it, which has got herbs in it, including parsley and white pepper, and then they fry it in a cauldron of lard. So they're deep frying in the cauldron. But I'm quite happy with the French calling custard English cream because if you think about it, it is a cream. It's a cream which we make with eggs. Oh, do you want to know a fun fact about eggnog? We're getting into the Fortean subject of food and why it changes over time. So, way back when, in the good old days of medieval England, there was this dessert called posset, and you can still make posset to this day. It's lovely. It's very simple. You make a custard, and you put sherry in it, and then you put spices, typically nutmeg, but people also like cinnamon or allspice. Just whatever spices you like with your custard. But I think it goes well with nutmeg. And that's a posset. And it's a lovely thing. You can drink it, or you can spoon it. It depends if you've been whipping the custard or not. And if you do it with a Madeira wine or sherry, it's gorgeous. You've got to use a sweet one. Use dry sherry for when you're cooking fish or paella. But use a sweet sherry as it's a dessert. Now, in the 13 colonies, they're still quite fond of custard because, let's face it, they're English. I know Americans don't like to admit this, but you're English. You say Scots-Irish because that's a cope, because you can't say English. And they're doing it in this country as well, where they say everyone can celebrate being Scots, Irish, Welsh, Manx, Isle of Wightian, Irish, but nobody can say English. It's just like, oh, that's British culture. Well, when you're saying British culture, you mean English, but for whatever reason, we're not allowed to say England. By the way, St. George was English. He was born in Maidstone, simple as. And Jesus was English too. He lived in Cornwall. Simple as. St. George and Jesus have been to the pub together. They shared a pint and they sung Jerusalem. Simple fucking as. So anyway, custard, English, posset. Over in the colonies, they also enjoyed custard because they're Englishmen, who then had this silly little thing where they pretend they're American. But they couldn't get hold of sherry because that's an import from Spain, and Spain wasn't really importing to the 13 colonies because there was some silly little war going on where we kept sinking their galleons and nicking the gold from them. But anyway, all of that aside, they did have access to rum.
I've just seen the tweet of the year. Femi has a lot to say on sex for a fat virgin.
So anyway, in the 13 colonies, sherry was hard to come by, rum not so much because, of course, Barbados and all those other places making rum. So they'd import rum and they'd make their own version of posset, which they call eggnog, because Americans like nignogs, you see, and it's they drink the custard with the rum and they call it eggnog and they celebrate it. And it's not Dutch because the Dutch do have a similar drink, but they call it advocaat, and it's not very nice.
Advocate, big fan of the old advocate. That's made with egg, isn't it? That's eggnog, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's custard with booze, and also there's other variants. An American friend tells me that. Hang on, let me just have a look at this, because I was talking about. It says nog is archaic slang for a strong ale. And so modern eggnog may have been developed from colonial era drinks and combining beer and raw egg, especially because there's no etymological evidence anyone's ever said egg and grog in a noggin. According to this linguist, who is so prolific that he's a Wikipedia page. So I said, is modern eggnog made with rum? She replied, says, can be. There's also brandy, schnapps, whiskey. Oh, hang on. Oh, the two types of whiskey. So, there's Scotch, and then there's like the American whiskey, and the one's got in it. Yeah. So there's whiskey eggnog, there's bourbon eggnog, and there's bourbon whiskey eggnog. Hang on.
Why is it Yanks have to do 50 million varieties of everything?
Hang on. Wait a second. I know what whiskey is. It's Scotch. The Scottish make it, but also Irish and Japanese. But bourbon is a liquor made from corn?
A liquor.
Question mark. Liquor, but I use a U in my liquor because you see that was the thing.
They don't have liquor; they have liquor.
Can I tell you one of my? I saw they were doing some tree surgery near me today, and it reminded me of one of those jokes my granddad, God bless his soul, told me. He says, Irishman, right? And he's saying, so I know what the punchline is. Let's see if I can make the joke work. He says, we need some help in felling this tree. Do you know any tree fellers? He says, oh yeah, I'll be back. So he comes back with two of his mates. And he says, oh, these the tree surgeons. He says, what do you mean? You said you wanted tree tellers to fell the tree.
Oh, that reminds me of the version I heard of that. It's Paddy looks at Paddy and Murphy look at the advert in the paper, and it's tree fellas wanted. Oh shit! There's only the two of us.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, Big Worm is spot on here, and I'll tell you this is why the Belgian dialect of Dutch is called Flemish. The Dutch can't finish a sentence without spraying their conversational partner in thick green flob.
Yeah, they're a bit east. They're a bit Middle Eastern occasionally, aren't they? The Dutch.
There's a lot of guttural sounds in their language. My favourite thing is us speaking with a German.
Interdimensional Lizard is a bit worried. He says we still are allowed to call it eggnog. I'm surprised it hasn't been renamed.
So there's this joke Reginald D. Hunter did when he was on Have I Got News for You, and he says, "You see, I like the racial slurs you Brits have. You call us nignogs, and it's like that sounds like a drink black folk have for Christmas." Just, I thought, yeah, it's eggnog for blacks. But no, the thing the German was saying about the Dutch, he says, we taught them German, but we did it deliberately wrong as a joke. And the funny thing is, though, if I look at Middle English, because as long as it's not done with fancy flowing script, because I've trouble reading handwriting, if it's printed Middle English, it's actually quite, I want to say it's easy to read. You have to get used to the fact that they got different symbols, which we don't have in print anymore. So, like, you know how you'd have a sign saying ye on it, like ye old pub, ye old bookshop, or whatever. Well, that's a printing mistake. You see, the Y is supposed to be pronounced TH. Yeah. So it'd be the old pub, or the old pub, depending on what your dialect is. So when I'm looking at this, because you see, prior to that, there was a symbol which looks like a B and a P put together, and that's the TH symbol, which now we just in print we replace with TH. But back then it was this special symbol, and there's this other one that looks like a backwards. It looks like a backwards 3. Now I'm told it's either a G or a Y, depending on the context. And I've got a Wycliffe. Well, there's an online Wycliffe Bible, and it's got the. So, for those not familiar, the Wycliffe Bible, it's a 13th century English translation.
That's not Wycliffe from the Fugees, then.
It's from the 13th century.
Wycliffe from the Fugees wanted to be president of Haiti.
No. So the Wycliffe Bible is an unauthorized.
By the way.
I wish all blacks would go back to Haiti. So now, the Wycliffe Bible is an unauthorized translation of the Paris Latin Vulgate, which makes sense because I was reading the Gospel of Luke, and they were talking about how one of the disciples of Christ went to.
Oh yeah, that's a good point from Alphabet Cat. Fairy used to be fairy, so it used to be spelt Faerie.
But I think a lot had to be spelt differently after the introduction of the printing press. It just, because AE, that symbol, you see it in things like encyclopedia as well. It was its own special letter. Well, we lost a lot of letters in our language, and I don't know why we've done it. There's something about the dumbing down of English, which is insidious, frankly. And this is why I encourage people, look, I know it's the Bible, I know it's an unauthorized copy, but...
Interventional said, did you pick this one up? Should we say Cor Anglais or English Horn?
Well, again, Burma or Myanmar, no, I know what it's called. The fact is, if there's a translation of your place or your thing in that language, it's an honour. It's not an insult.
Do you know the French have no word for it, entrepreneur?
Yeah. So the fact is, if you've got that word in your thing, it means that it's an honour. They're basically saying you're so culturally significant. We have our own name for that in our country.
Well, we do that, don't we? We have deja vu and stuff like that, don't we?
Well, those are loan words. But the fact is, we'll call Paris Paris because, like, we've anglicised it because it's culturally significant. And so, going back to this Wycliffe Bible, look, it's the Bible. It may not interest you. Some people it does. The only reason I'm saying it is because it's readily available. It's a bottom of the bag. It's a very easily readable online resource where you can read Middle English. And I just say, everyone here, I'm encouraging you to do it. I haven't got the link in front of me, but Wycliffe Bible Online, you'll find it, and it's got like 2 columns, so you can compare the early and the late versions. Its order is different to the modern Bible, so you'll have to do a bit of interpretation. But I want you more to just read it and then read it aloud, because when you read it aloud, you'll be able to speak the words, and then they'll make more sense.
To Wycliffe.
The only sort of hints I'll give you, because I haven't got that far, I only got past the first page, is the B and the P put together is a TH sound. So whenever you say it, they go the or the, depends on how you spell it. And the backwards 3 is a G or a Y, depending on it. So when he says gurn, I think that means going. And then you'll see that symbol other words, and you can see that it means Y. You just have to read it aloud and you understand in context. And there's other words in it which look similar to Dutch, like. And then at the age of 74, he gave up die Holy Ghost, and it said Goost, Goost. And this is another thing. It was before the standardization of letters. And it's a very Fortean subject, and I would love to get a linguist on. So if anybody knows, like a Middle English historian who was willing to come on, please can you explain why 500 years ago we changed the order of all our grammar? Because before then, our grammar was much like German and French.
Decimalised grammar, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for whatever reason, we're like 500 years ago, everyone's just like, wouldn't it be a great laugh if we just completely reversed English grammar? And they did. And it's so fucking weird. It's like, you know what? That Irish bloke, Michael Zarian, he actually talks about the standardization of the English language. And he was saying how it was to program England to becoming an empire. So his theory was that it was to get people into an imperial mindset. And I've got no idea how changing people's words are. But there is this guy called Worf.
The current mess we're in started with PC language in the 90s. It's very easy to see.
Yeah, it just the language. I mean, we've touched on neurolinguistic programming before, and now Tony Blair is a famous practitioner of neurolinguistic programming. And it's just the fact that these words.
I don't know whether Tony Blair brought in PC language or it came about the same time. But like, if he's using neurolinguistic programming, he understands the power of words and controlling language.
Look, there's a fact that words and spellings that you make spells from spellings, and I also remember that bit in Nightmare where they do spell casting by spelling out the word. And
yeah,
it's. We trivialize it now, but these words, they do have power, and usually because people give them power, and it's just so really look. It is something I'm sending out to the audience. If you know any Middle English historians, ask them if they'd like to come on. I would really like to just because I find it's a fascinating conversation. Why did the English language change? And what's the sort of esoteric implications thereof of it being completely reversed from Old English?
Speaking of esoteric implications, I have a final thought for you, Hobbit. Whenever you done.
Is it that time? Are we doing? Oh yeah, it is that time. Yeah.
A loaf. See if you can explain to me. A loaf of white bread in Aldi is 50p. A tin of baked beans or spaghetti hoops is 27p. Breakfast for a kid for a week. Do you agree with anything in that whole tweet there?
That's not enough, is it?
What? I don't think. Is it 2 spoons? Is it 2 spoons and a loaf and a? It's about 2 spoons and 3 slices of bread a day in it or something.
That's starvation rations.
Apart from anything else, a loaf of white bread is not 50p in Aldi, and a tin of hoops is not 27p.
Spaghetti hoops. Look, if you said beans, okay, but spaghetti hoops, that's
even worse. I've just realised that's even worse. Spaghetti hoops, isn't it?
So, in other words, you're having pasta, which is compressed durum wheat, on bread, which is expanded wheat.
Yeah.
You'd just be like, "Oh, just have some bread with your bread, please," or "Can I have some flour sauce on my bread?"
Yeah.
At least with beans on toast, you're getting a bit of protein from.
Oh, sorry, tin of baked beans or spaghetti hoops is 27p. Okay, we'll give her that one.
Yeah, but that's not interchangeable. That's like, look. So you know that thing I said where some people are not worth debating because they're hostile actors, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying this person's a hostile actor. I'm saying this person's too stupid to understand. It's like, look, I know they're the same price, but you've got like spaghetti hoops and beans are not comparable. You can't substitute one with the other. I know they both got.
Like maybe kids should have like half a tin of beans instead of a full tin of beans because they're only little and you don't want to fucking fill them up, do you? But like, it's got to be at least half a tin of beans a day, innit, for breakfast if you're doing spaghetti, doing beans on toast. Half a tin of beans, one slice of bread or two slices of bread for kids. I don't know.
Well, when I was about 11 years old, I'd go out.
Oh, we would go. You know what the Americans call spaghetti hoops, don't you?
I don't care. So when I was 11 years old, right? Again, I don't care.
You know,
when I was 11, yeah, SpaghettiOs.
You know, O's for your spaghetti.
That's it. You put your spaghetti through the hose.
Yeah.
Now, I used to go out cycling, and my breakfast was 6 slices of Marmite on toast with a pint of orange juice. So then I go out.
You must have been high when you got to school.
It wasn't orange juice. It was 6 slices of Marmite on toast.
It was Sunny D, Hobbit, weren't it? I bet it was Sunny D, weren't it?
No, it was not. I would not have orange juice with Marmite. I'd have a pint of milk.
Yeah,
and that was breakfast. And then I go cycling round and round. This would be on the weekend, you know. Breakfast when I was there was typically toast, sometimes cereal, but it was, you know, just school. But anyway, I go cycling around to be like, oh, the sun's going down. It's probably tea time, and I go back indoors, and I'd be like, oh, I remember the very first time I had chili con carne. Probably was about 11 years old. And again, I've been cycling.
How water used to be when you were a kid. Look, there's water there. If you're thirsty, drink it. Now it's like you have to drink 15 pints of water a day or something, or whatever. That Coca-Cola to sell their fucking product.
Oh yeah, there's a French water brand. If you're looking for the shittest hard water in the world, if you're looking to put limescale on your stomach lining, drink Quantrex. Ridiculously disgusting water. My relatives swear by it. I just say, fuck me, how can you get this down you? So I swear by it too. Now,
you swear
on the the bottle is a 1.5 litre container, and on it says, it is very important for you to drink 1.5 litres of water a day. And I thought, oh, that's convenient. This happens to be a 1.5 litre bottle, and that's how much you're telling me to do. Yeah. The funny thing is, right, I find I'm drinking about 3 pints of water a day, and that's over 1.5.
I've actually got to give Lewis Black credit for that one, because he was the one that did that bit. He said water. He said there was a tap there. You drink it if you were thirsty. That's actually a Lewis Black bit.
Yeah, you see, this is a very good guide to hydration, because now you've got the people walking around. They got this gallon jug of water with them at all times, because you've got to drink every 20 minutes or you'll turn into a desiccated corpse, apparently. Now, here's the thing, right? But God has made this beautiful mechanism inside us, and it's called being thirsty. So when you need it, now you may say to yourself, gee, I don't know when to drink. Your body will make you go, oh, I could really do with a drink right now. I'm really thirsty. And then the thirstier you are, the more you think, oh, a cold glass of water, a pint of water right now. I might even have 2 pints of water. I'm that thirsty. So the more thirsty you get, eventually you'll get to a point where you're so thirsty you feel unwell. But before that point, you'll really want that drink. And then the way to say, oh, have I drunk enough yet, is go, do you feel like that second pint? You go, yes, then you're still thirsty. Drink it. do you now feel like having 3 pints of water? If you are, then you're probably quite dehydrated. But before that point, you'll go, oh, you know what? This reminds me of the story when I was dehydrated. I might tie off the air because it does involve doing a poo. I fell asleep in the car on the ride back from Belgium, and I woke up in Oxford, and it was a house party my dad's friend was having, and I ended up drinking about 5 pints of grapefruit juice in one sitting, and then my dad's mates seemed to find it was an incredible party piece. And it's like, look, you keep inhaling that drink. Can you demonstrate to everyone else in the party how quick you can drink? But I'm watering it down because we're running up low on grapefruit juice now. So he'd mix it half and half with water, and this is like my 5th or 6th pint of it, and then I just like down it in under 3 seconds flat. And everyone's thinking it's amazing, like this 8-year-old child's like just downing like stuff like that quickly. And then so after like the 5th or 6th pint, I'm like, I'm not thirsty anymore. He says, I'm not surprised you've drunk nearly a gallon. Now, how many pints are in a gallon?
That's some
8 pints.
That's some real responsible parenting from your dad there, not stepping in and stopping it.
Yeah, or just going, oh yeah, I guess he was thirsty. It was quite hot in the car and I didn't put the blowers on, for fuck's sake. So anyway, I was quite dehydrated, but the thing is, do you know what happens to a boy when he's had about 5 or 6 pints of grapefruit juice and he's been dehydrated?
No.
Really, really could do with a poo. So I went up to spend a penny and I did the biggest shit of my life. I swear it was 2 foot long. Clogged the toilet. And I was just like, Dad, can I go home now? I don't feel well. Oh, there was a guy who went to the loo after I did. It's just the dirty look on his face where it's like, how the hell could you have laid something like that? You're just a little boy. It's like, it was a very long car journey and I was thirsty.
Oh dear. So basically you said he might as well have given you prune juice.
It was probably the water that just like finding my bowels were like, oh God, finding water, we can push this out now. Because before it was like sandpaper. But I've never told you the Oxford Clogger story, but it's it's got a bit of a vintage to it, that one.
Yeah. Oh dear. So that wasn't your first stint in Oxford clogging then, I bet.
What can I say? The plumbing in Oxford is inadequate.
Isn't it inadequate for hobbits?
Especially dehydrated ones.
Hobbits are sewage workers' the worst nightmare.
Look, we need high flow.
There's probably some poor sewage worker saw that float by and he thought, how did someone get a tree in here?
They're like, oh God, somebody smuggled an elephant into that Oxford again.
Milkman's orange in a pint bottle, that's the stuff. Yeah, orange juice has got sweeter, hasn't it? Do you remember it used to be like quite tart? It's like you can't even buy... Like, I think it shows how like the nation's taste buds have changed. You can't even get like grapefruit juice anymore. It's a nightmare getting grapefruit juice now, isn't it?
Well, look, I can't speak to other because I haven't drunk orange juice for years. I bought some orange juice the other day because I was feeling ill, and I just thought, God, this is really tart. It's like drinking grapefruit juice. There's hardly any sweet at all to it. It was cheap concentrate stuff, by the way. But I bought some cider the other day, and I thought this is like fizzy apple juice. I mean, there must have been some alcohol in it because I felt a bit tipsy afterwards, but. It just there's something with the cider these days. It's just, I mean, like it used to be you'd use cider apples, and you call them cider apples because they're too tart for eating, so you'd make cider out of them.
So much like cooking apples. Now, cooking apples are like that as well, aren't they?
Yeah, but no, these days, like where have all the bitter and tart apples go? Because they're not going into our cider anymore. I think it's quite a shame.
I think the only real tart one you get now is a Granny Smith. Like for some reason, Granny Smiths are like hanging on. They must be hanging on by their fingernails because.
But I miss the. In fact, I've actually got some cider in the fridge. I might have a glass of it when the show's over. But it seems like the only tart cider you can get these days is Old Rosie or other sort of scrumpy. But what's happening to our cider apples? Are they just going?
No, they're going with
You can't eat cider. You can't eat cider apples, by the way. If you ever bite into one, you can just feel how like astringent and.
Are they like crab apples? Crab apples are supposed to give you a stomach.
Well, the thing with crab apples is they're bitter and unpalatable, but they're really good for jam making because they're just so high in pectin. You only need a little bit of crabapple juice and you can set anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I think we're done now since we've verged into poo territory.
Yeah, we've gone long. We've gone long, much like your cable you laid on it. We've gone long with this one.
Yeah.
Anyway, good night all. Stay spooky. Don't get scared of Hobbit using your toilet.
And if you are dehydrated, drink water instead of grapefruit juice.
Just drink water until you don't want to drink water anymore. Forget all this fucking. You got to drink 15 litres a day or whatever it is.
No, that's all you need. And like, if you're dehydrated, your body will make you drink 5 or 6 pints in one go. You'll like it.
Right. So, good night all, and stay spooky.